Good afternoon, parents. This is a digital recording of the information and the workshop that we held for Year 6 last Friday. As you know, SATs are rapidly approaching and we need to brace ourselves. So the aims of the workshop were to share the arrangements for SATs week and explain what will happen, to tell you about how the children's results will be reported to you and also what the results mean, and also to share some strategies which could support your children at home. So SATs stand for Standard Assessment Tests. They're taken twice in primary school, at the end of Year 2 and at the end of Year 6. And the Year 6 tests attest the children's attainment in English, maths, and included in the English is grammar and spelling, and they compare them to other 11-year-olds in England. They assess the whole of the children's learning from across Year 3 to Year 6. So it's, that accumulated knowledge. It's testing what they've learned across their Key Stage 2 journey. SATs tests are statutory, and it is essential that the children are present for the test. So the arrangement is as follows. Because of the coronation, the timetable changed slightly. So normally it's Monday to Thursday. This year, the SATs start on Tuesday, May the 9th, and the children will have the English grammar, punctuation and spelling papers. On Wednesday, May the 10th, there'll be the English reading paper. On Thursday, the 11th, there'll be Maths Paper 1, which is arithmetic, and Paper 2, which is reasoning. And then on Friday, May the 12th, the children will have Paper 3, reasoning. There's no specific test in writing. However, we as teachers provide an assessment judgment at the end of Year 6. So most children will complete the SATs tests in the hall. Some will work in a classroom in smaller groups. Some children just find this more beneficial to have a smaller environment, a quieter space to be in, and they find it less stressful. And a small number of children will have an allocation of 25% extra time. And this is only for those children who have been identified as having a specific learning need that requires them to have more time in the test. There may also be a small number of children who will benefit from having short brain breaks within the tests, and this is particularly beneficial for those children who might have difficulty concentrating for longer periods of time. So for those children, the tests or the timer is paused. The children will go out and have a very short break, 5 minutes or so, and then they'll come back in, the time restarts, and they get the exact same amount of time as the other children. In the grammar and the maths papers, children can have questions read to them, but they must ask us to read them out. We cannot stress enough how important it is for the children to ask us to read the questions to them. This is really, really important in the maths reasoning papers because the children have to unpick all of the language before they can even do the maths. We are not allowed to go up to the children and ask them if they would like to have a question read. The children have to put their hand up and they have to ask. And we would happily read every question to the children on the paper if it will help them. Sometimes just having somebody read it out loud just helps them to really unpick what the question is asking them to do. So we can't stress enough how important it is for the children to ask us to read. As I said as it says on the slides, it can significantly support them with their understanding. So just going back to the children who may have extra time, if a child cannot read an age-appropriate text at a rate of 90 words per minute, or who has a dyslexia diagnosis, they may fit the criteria for that extra time. So how are the SATs marked? Well, there are a different number of questions in each subject paper, and therefore a different number of marks are available. So in terms of maths then, the children can achieve a total of 110 marks, 40 on the arithmetic paper, 35 on question 1 and 35, on paper 2. In their grammar, punctuation and spelling, it's a total of 70 marks. So the grammar paper is out of 50 and the spelling element is out of 20. The reading offers 50 marks. The papers are sent outside, so they're marked externally. The correct answers are added up and this gives us a raw score. So in terms of how the results are reported to you, the children will be given a scaled score, and this is so that results can be compared nationally. So the raw scores for maths, reading and the grammar, punctuation and spelling are converted into scaled scores. And these are the different boundaries and what that means. So children who achieve up to 99 scaled score are working towards the Year 6 national standard. Children who achieve 100 to 109 scaled score are working at the Year 6 expected standard. And children who achieve 110 to 120 on a scaled score are working at a Year 6 greater depth standard. Okay, so the scaled scores range from 80 to 120. The lowest scaled score that a child can achieve is 80. And the highest possible score is 120. A scaled score of 100 shows that the child has demonstrated sufficient knowledge in the areas tested and has therefore achieved the Year 6 national standard in whichever subject they've been tested on. So for each subject tested, the pupil receives a raw score, so that's the number of raw marks awarded, a scaled score in each tested subject, and then confirmation of whether they have achieved the Year 6 national standard. The SATs results will also be given to your child's secondary school during our transition meetings, and they may be used by the secondary schools to help the setting and streaming of the children as they move into Year 7. Test themselves then, the reading test. So it consists of one single paper with 3 unrelated texts. The children could receive texts on anything. It's usually fiction, non-fiction, and maybe a poem. And so that's why we encourage the children to read really widely so that they're used to different text types. The children are given 60 minutes in total, and this includes time to read the texts and answer the questions. There are a total of 50 marks available. In 2019, the children needed to score 28 out of 50 to achieve the scaled score of 100. The questions are designed to assess the children's ability to understand what they've read, as well as understanding vocabulary. And during the reading paper, a child's inference and deduction skills are thoroughly tested. They'll be expected to answer questions on authorial choices, so why an author has chosen a particular piece of language or vocabulary, also in terms of grammar and text features. So here's a type of question. It says, what evidence is there of Martine being stubborn in the way she behaved with her grandmother? And this is worth 2 marks because the children need to give 2 points. And this is an inference question where the children really need to read between the lines to try and unpick how Martine is being stubborn in her behaviour. Another type of question then, it says, look at the paragraph beginning, one of the victims. What does the word invaders suggest about the humans arriving on Mauritius? And this is a heavy vocabulary focus where the children really need to understand what the word invaders means. So the SPAG element then, it consists of 2 papers. It requires the children to identify and write sentences that have correct grammar, punctuation, vocabulary and spelling. It assesses the children on their technical understanding of the English language as well as their writing ability. It consists of 2 papers. Paper 1 is a series of SPAG questions which requires some short answers and some multiple choice. And the children will have 45 minutes to answer the questions, which are worth a total of 50 marks. The spelling element is administered by the invigilator. So there's a piece of text with words missing, and the children have to write in the correct spelling of the missing words. There's 20 words which they need to spell, and it lasts approximately 15 minutes. The SPAG paper then is 45 minutes, and as I said, it requires short answers and multiple choice. The marks for these 2 tests are added together to give a total raw score for grammar, punctuation and spelling, which is then converted to a scaled score. In 2019, the children had to score 36 to achieve a scaled score of 100. Different types of questions then. There's questions which focus on grammatical terminology. So the children are assessed on their technical understanding of the English language. The children are required to insert punctuation as well, emphasis on different types of punctuation. And there's also a focus on standard English. In terms of mathematics then, so the children sit 3 papers, paper 1, paper 2 and paper 3. Paper 1 is the arithmetic paper and pupils have 30 minutes to complete this test, so it is quite pacey. It covers calculation methods for all operations, including fractions, percentages and decimals. Questions gradually increase in difficulty. And we do say that it is probably the easiest paper to score highly on. It really is just testing the children's ability to calculate. And we really strongly encourage the children to achieve as high a mark as possible on these, as it will pull up their marks across the 3 papers. Papers 2 and 3, so these are the problem solving and reasoning papers, and pupils have 40 minutes to complete each of these tests. Paper A is out of 40 marks, paper 2 is out of 35 marks, and paper 3 is also out of 35 marks. The 3 scores were added together to give a raw score out of 110, which is then converted to a scaled score. In 2019, pupils needed to get a raw score of 58 to achieve Year 6 expected standard. So the arithmetic paper then, these are some of the types of questions that the children are asked. Ideally, we're looking for the children to get 32 out of 40 on the arithmetic paper. It's a really high score. But as I said, it then gives them more flexibility for the other papers, which generally tend to be harder because they can be very wordy. We've put a key there because arithmetic really is the key to unlock the Year 6 having or achieving Year 6 expected standard. It's absolutely crucial, and the more practice they can do at home, please, then the better. So what do children need in order to achieve a high arithmetic score? They need to be able to quickly recall facts. They have 30 minutes to answer 36 questions. The questions get progressively harder. So the long multiplication questions, the long division questions tend to be at the back of the paper, and they tend to be worth 2 marks usually. So it's really important that children can quickly recall facts. Knowledge of the 4 operations is key. Times table knowledge is key because it underpins everything in maths, and if they've got a rapid recall of their times table facts, it will help them. Speed is key, accuracy is also key. So there's lots of things at play here that the children need to be good at. And massive one we feel is confidence. Children having the confidence to have a go and to be feeling that they are good mathematicians. So some amazing resources that we use in school which can really help your children at home as well. There's a fantastic site for arithmetic called MathsBot, and it will give a whole range of arithmetic questions that the children can do online. It also will give you the results. It will mark the paper, and at the press of a button it will generate new questions. So it's just a constant practice paper really, which is fantastic, and it's free. So the reasoning paper, paper 2, here are some of the types of questions that the children will be asked. So calculation, word problems, questions where the children have to explain their reasoning, their understanding, how they've achieved or how they've understood a problem. Scaling and ratio, space, shape, geometry, statistics and data. Okay, the children have come home with a maths pack to offer extra support, and I'll talk about that a little bit later in the presentation. So in terms of writing then, there is no test in writing. The children will receive a teacher assessment judgment. They will either receive a judgment of working towards national standard, working at the national standard, or working at greater depth within the national standard. Year 6 were moderated, our writing was moderated last year, so it's very unlikely that we'll be moderated by an external moderator. However, we'll know for definite on around the 13th of May. If we are moderated, then the moderator will select 15% of the cohort's books at absolute random to assess. They look at a selection of pupils' work, usually 6 to 8 pieces, and they assess this against the teacher assessment framework. The writing assessment is based on the children's ability to write on a day-to-day basis and the lessons that we've covered across year 6. Moderators will look predominantly at work in the English books, but they may also look at work in their science, RE and theme books where we have done extended pieces of writing. So some really good revision resources to support the children at home. The CGP books are fantastic, so we strongly urge you to use those. Spelling Frame is a fantastic resource as well, as is Spelling Shed and Times Table Rockstars, and the children have free access to the bottom two, to Spelling Shed and Times Table Rockstars. Little and often, 5 minutes a day on either or both of those will really help your children. So during the week of SATs then, we'll be offering a free breakfast club for the children, and we would absolutely love to see all the children attend. It begins at 8 o'clock, and it just means that the children come in and have a really good breakfast and a very calm and settled start to the day. So they're getting a really, really good start to their SATs week. We will have a short revision session, and we'll also have a prayer time at the start or just before each SATs paper. The children can bring in slippers and a cushion and a small mascot, please. So not like the biggest cuddly bear that they've got in their bedroom, just a small little thing that makes them feel comforted or reassured is absolutely fine. SATs week can hardly be described as fun, but we try and make it as calm as possible for the children. In many ways, it's a celebration of all of the hard work that the children have put in over the years. The children, you know, some of them, a lot of them are actually very excited in SATs week because they relish the opportunity to show off what they can do, to showcase their skills and to showcase how amazing they are. So yeah, it is a tough week, but we keep it very, very relaxed, and we will celebrate their hard work on the Friday of SATS week in the afternoon, because they will have paper in the morning. So other ways to support your child: please ensure that your child gets a good night's sleep every night of SATS week, just to make sure that they wake up in the morning feeling refreshed and, you know, wide awake and ready to come in and show us what they can do. During the Easter holidays, please encourage your children to do some revision for maths, grammar, spelling and reading, to keep everything fresh in their minds over the 2-week break. Obviously, it's really important that they do have a break and they do have a holiday. But it would be so sad if the children, you know, have 2 weeks off and then forget all of the work that they've done, everything that they've learnt up to that point, and then they come back and have to start again. So yeah, little and often would be brilliant, and we will be sending packs home for you to work through with your children. The vast majority of children have been invited to attend booster sessions to support them in fulfilling their potential and to improve their confidence. And these are either after school or some of them take place during assembly times. Again, we urge you, if your child has been invited to attend a booster, please, please, please encourage them to attend. Some of the children have been invited to attend just because they just need a little extra boost to be able to achieve that Year 6 standard. And, you know, we want every child to fulfill their full potential. So please, 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 if they've been invited to come, encourage them to do so. So next week, starting on Monday, we'll be having practice SATs, and we're going to do this in exactly the same way as the real SATs, just so that the children are used to the format, and then they've got a heads up as to how SATs week will work, and it hopefully will just reassure them and, you know, take away any worries that they may have. These will be held then in the school hall starting next week. So that's it really. Your children, as I said earlier, came home with a mathematics pack, which hopefully they've explained to you what it's all about. There are resources in there to support various elements of maths. We felt that, you know, some parents were perhaps taught maths in a different way to how their children are being taught, and therefore Mrs. Davies has put QR codes on each page where you can scan it, and there will be a video explaining how we carry out that, you know, that element of maths. It would be great if you could support your child with this. So your child has a go, you have a go, and you can upload pictures please onto our Padlet page, which if you scan the very first sheet of the maths pack that came home, that will take you to our Padlet page and you can upload pictures onto there. And I think that's it for the parent packs. Thank you for your continued support. If you have any questions or queries at all, then please don't hesitate to get in touch with us. Okay, thank you.